find us. We're live. I always want to do jazz hands and a drum roll every Friday when we get Coffee Chat started.
Yeah. You know what? I'm going to do an Instagram live just to boost it a little.
Oh, I think, yeah. Let people know that we're over here on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. It is crazy. So if you're joining us, thanks for being here.
How's your week going?
Let us know how your rowing week is going. Scale of 0 to 10. Tell us what's going on in your rowing world. Welcome to Coffee Chat. It is Friday, so that means another iteration of Coffee Chat with me, Rachel Friedman, and Tara Morgan, founders of Steady State Network. We like to talk about rowing, coaching, coxing, rowing life, rowing culture, and all that good stuff. So if there's anything that you want to talk about, leave us a comment and we will make sure to, talk about it. So I see that someone's joined us. Let us know what's going on. Hey, Michael, thank you for being here. Good morning.
So I'm on StreamYard with Rachel right now, and I'm just doing a quick Instagram live to tell you to join us over on StreamYard. You can find the link on our feed. You can find the link on our, where can you find it? Facebook feed, I know.
Facebook and Twitter.
And Twitter.
Yep.
You know who we haven't seen a lot of lately?
Who?
Kuhn Elbert.
That is true. We have not seen Kuhn lately.
So
Go.
I'm not going to stay here on Instagram Live, but we would love to see you at our coffee chat. Katie Brennan, ARZV, Roy, come over to us on StreamYard. Just follow the link on our Facebook feed and Twitter. Okay, thanks.
Yep. Yeah.
We haven't seen Kuhn.
We have not seen him lately. I know that for him, it's like 4:00 in the afternoon. And I wonder if he's been coaching. Maybe that's what's been keeping him busy these days. So, but Michael's with us and he says having an eight sort of week there in Chicago, getting ready for Chicago sprints next weekend, which start next weekend. Is it a series, Michael? I actually don't know about Chicago sprints.
I don't know about that one.
Yeah. And I keep saying this, but I really need to get out to Chicago. It's like I've known about a crew for long enough that I just need to make an excuse to get out to Chicago to hang out with them and get in some racing out there. I've always wanted to row there. It looks fantastic. So one of these days.
Yeah.
So here in DC, the next race is Capital Sprints that I know of that's happening here in town next weekend. I am not going to be here, though. I'm going to miss it. What's happening out there, out west? Do you know what's on the calendars?
Yes. One of my favorite regattas in the world is happening July 15, 16, 17, somewhere in there. Yeah, I think that weekend. It's called Cascadia, and it happens in Canada. And Canada is just a hop, skip, and a jump for us. It's not that bad, not that much. Actually, really great. And the Canadians are some of the most civil and wonderful people on the planet. And, you need a hand, they offer it. There's no standoffish. There is no strings attached. It's just, here you go. You need a tool, here you go.
Yeah.
And it's one of my favorite regattas because the venue is actually really tidy and tiny, but it's compact. Like it's really, there's a whole big section with all the trailers and everything, but the area where like the village is of all the tents of all the teams and stuff and the course itself, it's just really cozy. Like you feel like you're really cozy. And they set up like an impromptu beer garden, which is hilarious. And the other thing is there's a guy that shows up in an old Volkswagen van, like a Vanagon, and he sets up the most intricate, elaborate recycle and garbage system you've ever seen. Like he has 8 different containers, clearly marked with like pieces of sample garbage taped to a piece of
Yeah.
poster board.
Yeah.
And at the end of the regatta, he goes home each night of the regatta, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and he weighs everything. And he comes back and says, you composted this much, you recycled this much, you
Mhm.
threw away this much. And
Mhm.
it's just great. Like, he's not even a rower. He's just this
Hmm.
random guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
That's really awesome. I haven't seen that a whole lot at regattas. I'm always really pleased and a little bit surprised when I get to a regatta and they have at least recycling, you know?
But
That
you have people coming from all over the country
yeah,
who don't know how to recycle.
no. Which also is like mind-blowing to me because I grew up in a town that recycled. I mean, I was just a kid
Yeah.
who learned about recycling. So I mean, that's a whole other conversation, but you are absolutely right. A lot of people don't recycle. They wouldn't know what to do when they got to regattas that had recycling bins. But that's awesome that that guy kind of broke it down and made it really obvious what to do and how to take care of your trash. Um,
Well, I mean, at least even try to have a plastic-free regatta. Like,
yeah,
have water bottle refilling stations, you
yeah,
know? I mean, come
yeah.
on. This is
I love
not
that idea. Here in DC, a couple of regattas have worked with the DC Water WASA, the DC Water and Sewer Authority. That's what it's called, and have been able. I think DC Water and Sewer Authority, like if you catch them on the right day, are able to bring water, like a water big old thing
yeah,
to an event, and as well as like a filling station. So I love to see that at regattas as well. Um,
yeah, yeah.
I've been
I,
I've been
sorry, there's a
interested.
little delay with you, so
Yeah,
I'm trying to figure out how to jump in.
go.
Um, what were you saying? You were trying to figure out something.
Oh, I don't know. I'm just rambling. I'm rambling about recycling. Oh, but I'm a little bit curious. I've been thinking a little bit about this idea of what to do with worn, slightly worn, or very worn, basically rowing gear, whether it's trowel, old t-shirts, stuff that you like 5 years ago, but for whatever reason don't like anymore. I think some folks are really good about just giving clothes away. But I think it would be really interesting if there was an opportunity for trading, swapping, trading in at regattas. It's something I guess I've been thinking about because, or through, as part of my rose source vending. I'm selling stuff to people. I'm selling t-shirts to people. Lots of people come back to me year over year and say, hey, that shirt I bought from you 3 years ago is fantastic, but now I'm a size larger, or a size smaller, or whatever it is. So I've been
Right.
thinking a little bit about what to do with our old rowing stuff.
Well, here, in our county, King County, we have a whole program called Thread Cycle.
Hmm.
And I think that there's a way that you can collect clothing and then send it in a box to something like a thread cycle
Mhm.
that will turn it into something else.
Mhm.
Um, I think that's also what a lot of the Goodwills do. I don't think they add to the landfills. I think they thread cycle, maybe. But that could be interesting. You could have a bin at a regatta that's
Yeah.
like, fill the bin, thread cycle, and, put in this much and, you can get $5 off a shirt or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. There's a company I use called TerraCycle.
Oh yeah, I love TerraCycle.
TerraCycle, and they have a lot of different types of recycling options, but one of them is for textiles. So yeah, that's
Mhm.
something I've thought about. You have to buy the box, right? So you pay a couple $100 for this box. You're
Yeah,
basically paying to recycle. So yeah, that's something I've thought about. Is collecting old gear from folks. Oh, Tara.
yeah,
Earlier, earlier this week, I put on a pair of old JL trow that I guess I hadn't worn in a
yeah.
while. I don't know why not. And they are so old that it was like, that It's like old plastic. When you like, I went to put it on, it was like crinkling. It was so old. The waistband of JL Trow. Might be time for me to get rid of those. Oh no, I think I lost Tara. She totally froze. Well, hey guys, if you have old stuff that you want to get rid of, tell me about it. What's the oldest piece of rowing gear you have in your collection? I've got a T-shirt from Head of the Schuylkill from 2001, going strong after 22 years.
I have my splash jacket from 1986.
Oh, that's fantastic.
It's still great.
You know. Yeah, that's cool. Is it like a boathouse type? Yeah, splash jacket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Yeah. It actually has my letter. I lettered in high school because I did rowing.
Fancy.
Go ahead.
Oh, I got a jacket in softball.
Oh,
softball jacket back in junior high. I thought that was super cool.
Nice. Well, here we go. Before I forget, what happened this week was I started a new business this last year, and this week I got to be on TV, which was kind of cool.
Yes. All right. So if you guys don't know, so obviously Tara and I are here to talk about rowing and rowing life, but she and I both do, other things. And Tara started this awesome business last year and it is flourishing. So tell us about this opportunity this week that you had.
Yeah, so our local NBC affiliate is called King 5, and King 5 has a cool little show in the evenings called Evening Magazine. And it's a magazine show, lots of human interest stories and profiles on people doing things. And they reached out to me earlier this year to do a segment on my business. Mm-hmm. And it aired on Monday, which was just really fun to watch. It was good.
It was good. I took a look at it. I was really impressed because it wasn't just like a little 30-second spot. It was like 3.5 minutes or something. Yeah,
and I thought they edited it really, really well. And it was 3.5 hours, 4 hours of filming.
Wow.
And and they distilled it down to that really beautiful essence I just thought it was really well done.
Yeah.
Tara's going to be famous. Oh, you're sweet, Katie.
Well, congratulations again. I know I told you this already offline, but I think that you're doing a fantastic job with it, and I'm really excited for you. And I know that your community is really excited to have you too.
Yeah. It's been really, really crazy busy. And like today's a very, very full day. Today's till 8 o'clock tonight, packed with people. There's a fun night market tonight that I'm going to. So yeah, it's been really good. This will be my third weekend open at the shop because I also have a mobile business, but at the shop. Yeah. So that's my big news for the week. And I got to play my first round of golf last night for the summer.
Golf.
So, yes. So fun.
I've never actually played golf. I've never swung a club. Well, I've played like mini golf, but not golf.
I kind of liked it. I like it a lot. It's very cerebral, like rowing. It's very much not so much about athletic ability, but a lot about like technique and head game.
Yeah.
And I played with my friend Lynn for the first time. She's a member of the golf club here, and she plays at a very fast pace. Like she is trucking in between shots. So a couple of friends of ours drove the cart, and so we didn't have to carry our clubs, but they were just having fun in the cart. And it was just really nice. Beautiful night here. The weather has been amazing, finally.
Yeah. So talking about cerebral. Okay. So I've been coaching 4 nights a week for our evening sweep program, which is a pretty wide range of rowers from relatively new to folks who've been rowing for a long time. But last night I had the chance to coach a very brand new novice 8. And one of the very first things that one of the novices said to me before shoving off was, "Do you know of any books about rowing that I can read to learn about the rowing stroke?" So this guy's cerebral, right? Like right off the bat, he's analytical.
He's a reader.
He's a reader. So if you guys know any books about rowing technique, let us know. I mean, I know about sculling technique books, but I don't think I've ever seen any sweep rowing technique books. So I'm kind of keeping my eye out. I can think of some articles and like places to look online that have a lot of video. But I also said to him, well, the only things that I can really think about reading about sweep rowing are highly technical, and about like the physics of it. He said he was kind of into that.
Yeah, here's the thing. I've taught a lot of learn to row, and a lot of people. Oh, hi, Paval.
Yeah, you're just in the shot, so come on in. Okay, thanks. Delivery.
So here's the thing. But this is my take on that. Is that this is a person who is really going to benefit from rowing once they figure out it's not cerebral, and they have to make that leap. This is probably how they've learned every other thing, and how they've felt themselves valid, and how they've felt themselves in control. Yeah. And learn to row is about being out of control, and learn to row is about being thrown to the wolves, essentially, but in a loving care and loving holding arms of Rachel Friedman.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, you could give him a couple articles and then just be like, and now you need to feel it.
Yeah. And that's what I noticed last night. So in a boat of other rowers who have the exact same experience, amount of experience that he did, he was the most frustrated in the boat. So frustrated.
I could guarantee that.
Yeah. And he was one of these guys who, like, if a stroke didn't go right, basically threw a mini fit and just was like, I'm done rowing. And it's really hard as a coach to say, but let's keep going. Like, what can you do? Right. Yeah. What can you do to figure it out to get? And so a lot of my cueing was, all right, get back into it on the next one, find a place in the stroke to reconnect with everyone, pick a spot, catch, finish. I don't care. Get back into it.
Right.
But I think that he would have loved it if I saw his frustration and was like, okay, everybody, way enough. Let's like figure it out for number, seat 6. And there's only so many times I think you can do that in a practice when everybody else is like, let's get moving.
I always likened it to learning to ski on the bunny hill. Like, you can't have the boat go so slow because the boat needs momentum, right? In order for people to actually feel it, they're picking it up, right? Yeah. So there's this weird moment when they just don't know how to do that, and they get really, the real hard people. Sorry about
that. So that was an interesting opportunity. I'm glad I got the chance to not sit in, but to coach those novices last night. I'm not sure I told you, but I most likely am going to be coaching novices in August, a program in August it'll be our last learn to row. It's going to be our last learn to row for the season. And I think I'm going to be coaching that program. It's a couple of quick weekends, get people as much up to speed as we can, and then feed them into our novice program, which runs the rest of the season.
Yeah. Will this guy be in that group?
If he's, yes, he will be. Well, he's currently, so he just finished a learn to row, has matriculated now into our novice program. And so then, so he will not be a part of this learn to row that I'm coaching in a few weeks. But can we talk about one other thing, coaching related?
Sure.
Okay. So I think I'm a relatively low-key person. And I try to be loving and careful on the water with my rowers, and motivational and supportive and all of those sorts of things. And I just am exploded at the end of practice the other day. I don't know what happened.
Huh? Go
So
on.
we were finishing up practice. I was actually back on the dock. I had tied up my launch. My boat was coming in to dock. There were two novice crews trying to dock at the same time, and there ended up being a little tangle of oars coming into the dock between my boat and another boat. And so part of me is frustrated because I feel like we should know better. Like, we are the more advanced crew. We should know better how to fix that. Okay. Not, okay, not a big deal. We'll talk about it on shore. And then on shore, the coxswain of the novice boat, I hear her talking to another coach about it. And I totally butt into that conversation. Like, not even in a nice way. I was like, you can talk to me about that. And like, I don't know where that came from. All of a sudden, I was like, let's talk about this. And so we're talking about it. And then my coxswain came over and I totally put him on the spot and totally the wrong way. I was like, tell me what happened. I want to know what happened. Did you see what was happening? Were you aware? And I think I meant it in the right way. Like, I was hoping to get them to talk to each other about the incident and dissect what happened. But instead, I totally put our coxswain on the spot. I felt awful about it. He felt awful. Then I had to apologize for making him feel awful. So, I guess all this to say that coaches mess up sometimes. And that,
Well, clearly you felt either threatened or some boundary had been crossed for you where
yeah,
I think you're the type of person that you like everyone to know where you stand, right? And you
yeah,
don't like if you're involved in something, you want to be part of that conversation, right? You don't want that conversation happening without you there. And
yeah,
and
yeah.
that's a real sore spot for you, I think. And I think it's natural. I think it's totally natural. And also I think as coaches, we often don't get the chance to we don't have enough of those scenarios where we literally clash with another crew, either physically or figuratively. And so that situation doesn't come up very often in the workplace of a
Yeah,
boathouse,
yeah.
right? So I think it's really like touchy. It's a
Mm.
real touchy thing. I was a hard case last week. I know so much more than the average duck. And it was like knowing too much and not being,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Not being able to execute was the end of her statement there. Yeah.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. I think, I know as a coach, I always felt very protective of my crews. Like I was always called a mama duck,
yeah.
and they were my little ducks, my little learned rows, my little baby ducks, and they literally loved it. They were like, "Mama," they were so cute, and they made me shirts with like little baby ducks and shit. Like I just got so many things.
Yeah.
But that protectiveness of me and my knowledge and my program and my thing, I learned that lesson the hard way. That is not my program or my boat or
Yeah.
my team.
Yeah.
And I had to really step away from saying that kind of language because it really was off-putting to the other coaches and to the program itself of like, because they couldn't matriculate and integrate really well because they were so used to me. So I had to
Mhm.
stop and like let other coaches teach my class, and have them step in and like different
Mhm.
voices and stuff. But
Mhm.
man, that's going to be the extreme version of what you're talking about. It's just, but I get it. I get it.
Hey, Tara,
A boundary had been crossed.
I'm getting a call from Tom Rooks, but I will not take it right now. But Coach Tom Rooks from Williamsburg, we're going to catch up another time with him. uh,
Speaking
so,
of people who are in bed with US rowing.
oh, geez. So, yeah, Tom Rooks is currently I can't remember his title, but he is with US Rowing, kind of handling all of their safety, emergency plans of action, that sort of stuff.
Yep.
But, it has been several weeks since the last time we didn't talk about US rowing, right? Like, I think there used to be weeks where we could have a chat where US rowing did not come into the conversation. But one more time, it has been brought to my attention that something happened with US rowing that's just not cool. So US Rowing is trying very, very hard. They, a couple of years ago, developed a DEI committee. They've been having DEI Zoom meetings uh, somewhat regularly. There was a DEI meeting last night via Zoom. I'm not able to participate in it, but heard this morning about something that went down. Had you heard about it before I contacted you this morning, Tara?
So I got an email from US Rowing that Amanda Krause had canceled the DEI community meeting.
Like all of
That's
them going
all I got,
through?
because I was registered for the whole series. So I would get an email, when it was coming up or whatever. And I'm gonna find this to verify it. But Amanda Krause, I think they're all canceled.
Holy smoke. Okay, so here's what happened last night. There was a DEI meeting. I cannot tell you a whole lot about it. I was not in it. But what I have heard now from Philip Carlisle, who's the interim president of DC Strokes Rowing Club, one of just 2 LGBTQ plus rowing clubs in the country, who was in on that meeting last night, told me that the meeting, the webinar titled "What Does Pride Mean to You?", which was organized just earlier this week, as a chance to look beyond the month of June to discuss how to be more welcoming and inclusive as a sport. So that was what the meeting was about last night. Unfortunately, no members of Chicago Rowing Union or DC Strokes Rowing Club, the only 2 LGBTQ plus rowing clubs in the country, were invited to participate. So that's bummer number 1. Bummer number 2 is that at a certain point, someone Philip is calling a Zoom bomber joined the webinar, insulted panelists, and totally derailed the conversation. It was offensive, but then the moderator, I'm trying to read this note that Philip sent me. The moderator directly compared the Zoom bomber to those who engage in boycotts, like DC Strokes, Chicago Rowing, and the other 300 plus rowers and clubs who are supporting DC Strokes boycott. So it turned into this big mess where people said it was not time to talk about the boycott. Another person said that the Zoom bomber's remarks were homophobic and racist. But then it wasn't until someone else on the call told the moderator that it was not appropriate to make the comparison between a racist homophobe and individuals boycotting a U.S. Event. Did he admit that he had made a faux pas and should not have drawn that comparison. Anyway, stay tuned. DC Strokes is going to have an announcement that comes out quite soon about this. They're going to have an official response to what happened last night during this DEI meeting. And personally, I'm disappointed. The moderator is someone that you and I know, Richard Butler, who has always, to me, been a model of inclusive language and behavior. So I'm not sure what happened last night. And I hope that he responds to DC Strokes and can have an open and honest conversation with them about what was on his mind when he said what he did last night.
Richard is definitely the type of person that is very, very, has a big emotional intelligence and has a really big social and cultural intelligence as well. But I also have seen him in these public forums sometimes kind of try to smooth things or like please everyone or kind of, like be the guy. And I love that about him. I really do. But sometimes it doesn't work. And I'm sure he has absolutely no intentions of hurting anyone. That's so not Richard Butler. But I could see in the pressure of a situation like that, being the face of US rowing in that situation could be difficult and challenging. So we'll give him some grace, of course, for that. I'm very curious of why no one's identifying the Zoom bomber, because I wasn't there. your email from DC Strokes, or the one that referring to the thing you're going to post later today, because you do social media for DC Strokes, doesn't name the person, and everybody's name really usually comes up on Zoom, and people would know. And I think before someone blasted US Rowing, they would say, "My name is so and so, and I'm from so and such club." Like at least, like that's odd. But maybe they're trying to be discreet. I don't know. But it sounds so. My understanding from what you're telling me is that someone came in and basically crashed the meeting and started berating US Rowing for its actions and the conversation, or just.
Well, I think that they were making really offensive homophobic remarks inside this DEI meeting about LGBTQ inclusivity. And it kind of went south from there.
Yeah, sounds like.
So we are going to keep our finger on the pulse of this. I feel like you and I, Tara, have become, as Steady State, have become the folks that do this, is taking the pulse of what's going on in not just the rowing community, but specifically what's going on with our national governing body. And I think that's kind of an interesting place that you and I have found ourselves in the last long while now.
Yeah, I feel like we could actually like I wish someone had the recording of that meeting, because you and I could do like color commentary on top of it and be like, "Oh, not a smart move," like we could do that whole thing. Yeah, it's interesting how, when we all first started having more platforms like this, Rowing in Color was at the forefront of having really healthy criticism of what was happening at US Rowing in terms of color, in terms of ethnic diversity, and all of the things, right, that really then took off during Black Lives Matter and COVID, and really just got a lot of momentum behind it. And I don't even know if Rowing in Color is still really out there. Are they?
I'm pretty sure that they are. What's interesting is I follow them on social media, but they're not as active as they used to be. But certainly Rowing in Color, the podcast, has also morphed into Rowing in Color, an online community. And I know that that's pretty vibrant, especially I'm pretty sure Facebook and Instagram. So there's lots still happening there, and people are really connecting there.
Yeah, I'm in the Facebook group, and I see stuff there every once in a while. It's interesting that no one else. Yeah, I love that we're doing it. I mean, it used to be like we always sort of thought to ourselves like, oh God, now we have to talk about US Rowing again. But it's actually like, if other people will join us in this conversation and we can keep it going, maybe it won't have this pattern of incident, flare up, nothing. Incident, flare up, nothing. Incident, flare up, nothing. Like, I mean, I have like this much interest in having Amanda Krause on our podcast, like zero, or anyone from US Rowing, like zero, because I just feel like it would just be another just staged conversation. It wouldn't be, I don't know. I mean, maybe it would be interesting to ask our people if they thought that would be interesting if we had Amanda Krause on. Hell, if I'm asking her rowing origin story. Hell yeah.
Yeah, I think I personally would like to talk to some folks from US Rowing, and I can't discount all of them. We've had good conversations with Tom Rooks. We had a good conversation with Rachel Lemieux. We had a great conversation with the nutritionist whose name I can't think of all of a sudden. I'm very sorry.
Liz.
But yes, I think if you and I were to sit down with Amanda Krause to talk about US Rowing, that could be a challenging conversation, and we'd probably get like the party line on the sorts of questions that we'd ask. But if you don't mind me kind of segueing a little bit, I mean, considering US Rowing is the national governing body, and they do have some people in place who know what they're doing, they're just incredibly challenged. I think that this goes to show just how hard it is for rowing clubs to handle DEI and inclusion. We're just the little guys trying to make it happen, right? And I came across a situation within our boathouse in the last week with an adaptive athlete who's actually rowing inclusively in a standard rowing learn to row and novice program, and she was feeling really flustered. And part of that's because our coaches were not prepared to include an adaptive athlete. And so we can all be talking about doing our best to be inclusive, but there's so much involved in that. And so even if we're well-meaning, we can't just say we're trying. Like, we all have to take the steps to learn what we need to learn, to think outside of our little box, whatever that box is, our club, our community, our programs, and learn from people who know what they're doing.
Yes, 100%. My argument to U.S. rowing has always been, I've said this to you a million times, there are already people doing the work. Like, give us some credit and amplify and lift up those voices, you know?
And that's why I would really like to see U.S. rowing take advantage of Chicago Rowing Union and DC Strokes Rowing Club as part of their DEI conversations. I'm not sure why they still haven't invited those folks to participate in a public-facing conversation. And to me,
I mean, even if you included like the Pocock Foundation, or just clubs that are doing it right, like clubs that are already doing it right, you know? And I think that's where we've gone to, is like, you know what? I'm just going to think global, act local. I'm just going to do my right thing in my club. And I'm not waiting around anymore. I mean, I didn't wait around for U.S. Rowing to do an adaptive rowing coaching cert, you know, and now they've got one, and I've already had my coaches take it, and they're like, yeah, you know, it was good. It was just another coaching cert, you know, whatever. It was like, yeah, but I went ahead and did that just because I wasn't going to wait around anymore. Not that mine's just different than theirs, but it's like, there are so many great programs happening. And the other thing is, there are so many great programs happening in Canada, in Britain, in Australia, that are just so replicable, and so interesting and thoughtful, because they come from a different culture where inclusion may or may not be more of the norm, you know. Here it feels like it's still the exception. Like, oh, you know, we are, like, when a club says we are inclusive, like, you shouldn't even have to say that. Like, why are you even saying that? You should just be that.
Yeah.
That should be the assumption and not the rule or the exception. Yeah.
Well, Tara, I just took a peek at the clock. We are running over our regular time. I like when that happens, actually, when we just get so into a conversation, we kind of lose track of time.
P.S. I just texted you a screenshot of the canceled announcement that I got. I texted it to you. So look at that and tell me, it says June 30, but that would have been the meeting last night.
Canceled June 30th. And you just got that? Yeah, that's weird. I don't know what's happening.
I don't know what that is. So maybe they canceled the rest of them?
I don't know. We'll find. That would be surprising, but I'm sure that they're going to figure out how to move forward with whatever Zoom meetings they have in the future. So let's keep our eye on that, see what's going on. Yeah.
Interesting. I mean, as we always say, we wish them well, and we wish them the best, and they have all the resources that they need right at their fingertips, and they just have to reach out and talk to the right people. Yeah. And even if they don't know who the right people are, just start talking to people.
Yeah.
You know, stop this, like, we're going to set up a webinar and then the webinar is not the right people. Why don't you just, like, yeah, I know it sounds easier than it is, but
yeah. So speaking of talking to the right people, guess what? We picked up a new sponsor.
We did.
We're really excited because we've been really lucky that Concept 2 stepped up to sponsor Steady State Network a couple of months ago. And just this past week, we picked up Lake Washington Rowing Club out in Seattle. Yeah, in Seattle, as our second official sponsor. So I'm pretty excited.
Yeah. So Lake Washington Rowing Club's president, Casey Dietz, is really behind this, and it's Casey's initiative to support our podcast. We've had 2 episodes done at their boathouse now. We had Rachel Lemieux and who's the coach of Martha's Moms and the head of the U.S. Rowing Safety Committee for the refs. She's a referee. And we also had Susan Kinney just recently, who was a boatswain there at the boathouse. And we've really enjoyed our time at that boathouse, and they've been very welcoming and open arms. And yeah, so hopefully what that will turn into is some really helpful, cool messages from Casey and the Lake Washington Rowing Club. So.
Yep. So keep posted for info about both Concept 2 and Lake Washington Rowing Club over the next handful of months, coming from us. And by all means, if you ever are interested in helping us out, you can support us in little tiny ways. And for as little as $65, you can sponsor one single episode of the podcast. Or for as little as $5 a month, you can become a Patreon member. And you can do that at steadystatenetwork.com/Patreon. We hope that you'll check that out and see what sorts of gifts you will get if you become a sponsor. So thank you again, everybody, for being with us today. Tara, it's always awesome to chat with you on Fridays, as well as every day, but Fridays especially. So cheers to you.
Cheers. Happy 4th of July weekend.
Oh, yeah. I can hardly think about it as a holiday. I have so much work to do, but hopefully all of you guys get to have an awesome weekend, and I'll at least be having probably a couple of hot dogs.
Yay, good. Cool.
All right, everybody. Well, let's talk soon. Keep in touch. Let us know how your rowing week is going and what you're up to. We always love hearing from you throughout the week. And next week, this time, I'm going to be in Maine, Tara. So I will be calling you from a lake house in Maine.
Very fancy. That's awesome. I'm happy you're going away and getting some time off.
Yeah, me too. Really looking forward to it. So I will talk to you in a week.
Okay.
All right. Have a good one, everybody.
Bye.